Hey y'all, I'm Susan Boles. I'm the author of the Lily Gayle Lambert Cozy Mystery series. It's won several awards and I'm pretty proud of that. All three books that are currently out are award-winning books. And today I'm going to read an excerpt from Death at the Midnight Dragonfly, which is book 3 in the series. There are excerpts from book 1, Death of a Wolfman, and book 2, Cherry Cake and a Cadaver, that I previously recorded, and you can go to my YouTube page and look at those. And then also, if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be really great, and you'll receive notice anytime I put another video up. So here's the Death at the Midnight Dragonfly. I'm going to show it to you so you can see what it looks like. Here's the cover, and it is available in paperback and ebook from all the major sites: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple. Any of the major retailers will be able to buy your copy. So let me tell you a little bit about the series. It's set in Mercy, Mississippi, which is a fictional town in North Mississippi, just a little bit south of Memphis, Tennessee, just to put you geographically in the location. The main character is obviously Lily Gayle Lambert, whom the series is named for. She's late 40s. She has come back to Mercy after her husband passed away. She's come back and she's living in a home that her grandparents left to her. And she's working as a seamstress. She makes costumes for reenactors and Renaissance fairs and things like that. And she's also an amateur genealogist, and so she does genealogy studies for various people via the internet and for people in town. Death of a Wolfman featured a genealogical research that she was working on. And so I'm going to get started and read a few pages from Death at the Midnight Dragonfly, and let's see what we have going on in book 3. Elvis Presley's voice singing Winter Wonderland greeted me as I opened the door to the Grits and Gravy Cafe to meet the girls for our regular Thursday morning breakfast together. We don't get much snow in Mississippi, but we sure do love Elvis. I glanced around, taking in the garland looped along the walls and the big Christmas tree decorated to the hilt standing next to the cash register, noting that the Grits and Gravy was again sponsoring some Angel Tree kids. Me and the girls had already adopted our angels off the tree and bought the gifts. That had been a fun trip to locally owned shops so we could support small businesses in addition to making Christmas special for some kids. Next to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, Angel Tree is my favorite group to help make children's lives special. Miss Edna, Harley Ann, Missy, and Dixie sat around our regular table smack in the middle of the room. I walked over to them while nodding to Helen in answer to her silent question about did I want chocolate gravy for breakfast. Being as how I always ordered it, Helen was just going through the motions with a questioning look at me. Maybe someday I'll shock the socks off her and order something different. Nah, I love my chocolate gravy fix too much to give up my once-a-week treat. Good morning, ladies, I greeted everyone as I pulled the last empty chair and sat down. About time, Miss Edna grumbled. We were fixing to start without you. We most certainly were not, Miss Edna, Dixie said, frowning at the older woman. Lily Gayle is only a minute late. As we waited for our food to arrive, Miss Edna said, when I get home, I'm going to fix up my special punch for the Christmas party tonight. I want to make sure there's a gracious plenty for everybody. She shook her head sadly. Last year we ran out before the party was half over. Dixie and I looked at each other with raised eyebrows. Using the mental telepathy that belongs to lifelong friends, I knew we were both wondering where Miss Edna got her supply of her secret ingredient. In all the years, we'd never figured that one out, and we'd actually staked out her house a few times trying to catch the delivery. Heck, maybe she brewed it up herself in her shed out back. Nothing would surprise me about Miss Edna. She's a product of the generation that made do, made it themselves, or did without. Maybe it was also the secret ingredient to her prize-winning dahlias. Wouldn't that be a hoot? Every man, woman, and child in town knows that the secret ingredient is moonshine, but keeps it quiet because Miss Edna is so darn proud of her special punch. Right about then, I noticed that the folks at the table next to us had gone quiet, listening to our discussion, no doubt. Nosy bitty bodies. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Patsy Hammond, the wife of the local bank manager, and as stuck-up and pretentious a hussy as you'd meet in a month of Sundays. She never had time to talk to anybody, and her husband hovered over her so much it'd about make a body sick. But she sure was quick to stick her nose in where it didn't belong so she could spread everything she heard. I was actually a bit surprised to see her without her husband. They were usually like Siamese twins. "That's so sweet, Aunt Edna," said Harley Ann, snapping me out of my dark thoughts. "How cool that you have a special punch that you bring to the Christmas party, and that everybody likes it so much." Everybody at our table pressed their lips together tight, trying to hide smiles at her sweet naivete. This would be her first Christmas in Mercy, and she came across as being pretty giddy about the whole thing. I was right on the edge of a mental eye roll when I remembered she'd spent a lot of the past Christmas holidays in a prison cell after being tricked into driving a getaway car by her previous boyfriend. She'd come to Mercy to start a new life, and I should be more supportive of her. I gave myself a mental kick in the butt for being such a snobby woman. Lord help, if I didn't watch out, I'd end up just like Patsy Hammond. And speaking of the devil, I cut my eyes over and noticed her ears all but flapping in an effort to hear what we were talking about. She reminded me of some of the mean sorority girls from my days at Ole Miss. Not my sorority, of course. Dixie kicked me under the table and I gave her a hard look. "What the heck?" "So, Missy," Dixie said, "tell us all about the latest happenings from the real estate world." Mixie beamed, pleased as punch. She loved dishing with us over the news that gathered from being the only real estate agent in the whole county. Of course, there wasn't a lot of real estate activity in Mercy, but Missy could usually entertain us with stories that she heard from all over the county, and sometimes the surrounding ones, leaving out the names of the party involved if it was a delicate subject. It didn't take a genius to figure out who she was talking about most of the time, but it kept her in the clear as far as telling people's personal business. "Well," Missy paused, then went on, "did y'all know the new boxing gym up in Olive Branch opened up? I heard people from all over are heading there to join." All of us exchanged looks, and Miss Edna pushed her chair out from the table in preparation for leaving. "Wait!" Missy motioned Miss Edna to pull back up to the table. "I was saving the best one for last." "Well, get on with it, girl," huffed Miss Edna. "I'm not getting any younger sitting here, and I need to get my punch mixed up so it can get good and blended before the party." Missy blushed to the tips of her ears, but the rest of us just ignored the remark. Classic Miss Edna. And we let it roll off. Avoiding looking at Miss Edna, Missy pulled herself back together. "There's a sleep study going on up at the Midnight Dragonfly." She paused again. A cone of silence descended over the table. I wasn't sure if we were all on the same wavelength, but my first thought was that the Midnight Dragonfly, formerly known as Mitchell Manor, was the last place anyone should be opening some kind of sleep study. The place had a bad record for murders happening, and I knew I'd have a hard time getting a wink of sleep in that place. But how the heck had I missed this nugget of information? "Yes," Missy continued, "it's the most exciting thing to happen around here in a long time." She lowered her voice and leaned in to speak quietly. "Just between us, I was sure that dang old big mansion was going to sit up there empty forever, especially after that business with Luxon getting killed up there, and that whole mess with the Mitchells before that." So that's an excerpt from Chapter 1 of Death at the Midnight Dragonfly, and I hope you enjoyed it enough to go over to the book retailers and pick out a copy for yourself. Stay tuned for further videos, and please again subscribe to my YouTube channel by pushing the button below. Thanks y'all, until next time.